Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend, where we go behind the scenes and talk to the creators of independent entertainment. I'm Jason Godbey, and today we have a very special show for you. This is our 100th episode. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jason, when I looked at it on the podcast, the episode says 600 and something. It's not the 600th episode. It's the 100th episode here in the studio that we do video for, not counting the indie film news and all the other bonus stuff that we do. But this is the official 100th episode of the show, so we're very happy to have you here. Before we get started on the show, I just want to thank everyone for contributing and everyone who's watched the show and been a fan and liked and shared online and tuned in every week. We really appreciate it, and I wanted to give you guys just a shout out and also a look at the behind the scenes a little bit. So here we have a little special presentation for you. Here are some of the people who have contributed to the show over the past couple of years that it's been going. Here's a look behind the scenes at the Behind the Rabbit Productions team.
My name is Lindsay Aster, and I am one of the red carpet correspondents for the No Rest for the Weekend podcast. I had an amazing time in 2019. I covered the Soho International Film Festival, as well as the 10th Annual Bushwick International Film Festival. I met some amazing filmmakers. It was really fun to get to see some different projects that I may not have gotten to see. And I'm really looking forward to 2020, seeing what awesome new festivals we go to. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you filmmakers. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you come say hi to me on the red carpet, and I'll see you around the film festival circuit.
My name is Sergio Beltran. I am the audio editor and camera operator for the show. Thanks to all the viewers and listeners out there. It means so much that we have reached 100 episodes in this show. We look forward to making more great content for you guys.
How's everyone doing? I'm Hernan Ferrer. You might recognize me from episode 308 of No Rest for the Weekend. I would like to thank all the fans for tuning in and seeing what we had to say about the topic. I really can't wait to see what's next for No Rest for the Weekend for 2020.
Hi everyone, this is Argenio, contributor for No Rest for the Weekend. I just want to take this chance to wish Jason and everyone else a very happy congratulations on reaching their 100th episode. This program has been a great platform for not only myself but other independent filmmakers to promote their works, and I'm very honored to be a part of that. I'm very happy to see what not only the future brings, but the next 100 episodes as well. Congratulations.
Hi everyone, my name is Adonis. I'm one of the associate producers on No Rest for the Weekend. I was also on the show myself quite a while ago when the show first started. Just wanted to wish you all a happy new year. We have some great things in store for 2020. 2019 was a great year. We had a lot of great guests on the show, but we have a lot more things coming in this new year. We have more interviews. We're going to be doing reviews, a lot of new aspects to the show. So we'd love to have you stay tuned. You'll see what's actually coming up. We have a lot of exciting things on the way. So Happy New Year once again, and we will be seeing you all soon. Thanks.
Since this show is for filmmakers and content creators, I wanted to kind of talk about what that means. And, you know, of course, content is a very broad term. We're all content creators of some kind. But I want to kind of define those terms and figure out what kind of content creator are you. And if you're a filmmaker, should you be making other types of content to support your filmmaking work and so forth. So to help me answer these questions and also to celebrate 100 episodes, he is the man behind all things sound here at Behind the Rabbit Productions. He is also the professor of Soundhouse Audio, my good friend, Mr. Christopher Gillard. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, good to see you again, man.
Hey, man, it's nice to have you back in the rabbit hole.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, bro. We have we've done some shows. You've done some shows here. We've done some indie film news shows. This is, like I said, this is the official 100th television/web/podcast show that we're doing.
Right.
So there's nobody better here to help me with that than you. Anyway. So I want to get into it. So talking about filmmaker versus content creator,
Right.
Like I said, content, broad term. It's all content.
It's all
whether
content,
yeah. Whether you're writing an article or making a video or making music, it's all content. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like the what kind of content creator are you? So my terms for it, and tell me if you agree. My terms would be like, so if you're a filmmaker on that track, you are looking to, you're making films, you're making TV series, fictional narrative or documentary.
Right.
And then if you're a content creator, that's more of the vlogger, video essayist, podcaster type stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could go along with that.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. In this day and age where there is so much content and so much of a need for content, if you're a content creator, should you be making something other than films, like something, say, beyond a reel, so to speak?
I feel like why not? That's kind of my take on it. Is why wouldn't you? If you're in between gigs, you're waiting for the next film thing to happen. If you've got the time and the resources and you've got an idea, do something. Why wouldn't you? That's kind of how I feel.
I feel, well, it's a number of it's a lot of give and take, right? Because I do this show in addition to the work that I get as doing videography and creating content for other people. But as a result of doing that work and doing this, it's hard to find time to actually make films.
Sure.
So if you want to make films, it's hard to say, well, hey, take your time and attention and make a weekly vlog or something like that, because this is a lot of work in and of itself.
Right.
So, like you said, it's like, do you have the time to make it? And then do you have the resources? Because, everybody's resources are limited.
And that's, to me, those are the two big questions do you have the time? And you and I have had those conversations. Like, do we, we want to do this project? It's always, the first question is this worthwhile? Second question is, do we have the resources? Do we have the time?
Yeah, and I found myself so Chris and I go way back, and we've done a lot of projects together, as has me and my writing partner, Marcello. We've done a lot of work like that. But even when I want to do something, I need to pitch ideas to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to have this, painful conversation about, all right, so can we do this? And if so, how? Right. And and the answers aren't easy most of the time. Most of the time, you have this it's going to cost this or it's going to cost that, and everything will cost you something. So I always tell people, whenever anybody asks me about doing a project, I always say, well, you have time, effort, and money. And all three of those things are limited, but everything you do will cost you those three things.
Or at least in different ratios.
Right.
All three, yeah.
So it's like you may have the time, but do you have the energy? You may have the time, but do you have the money? Or you may have the time and the energy, but not the money.
Right.
And you can do a lot, combine those resources, and it's like, well, what do you want to put your resources into?
Right.
Now, here's the other part of it. So in this day and age of Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, will people know you exist if you don't create content? If you don't crank out, if you're a cinematographer, if you don't crank out 3 photos a week or a video every other week or something,
right,
are people going to look at you like, well, why am I going to work with this guy?
He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, let's face it, the stuff that we get hired for, well, let me ask you, for the stuff that you do, and let's exclude the theater stuff and the event stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But for the stuff that's on video that you do, do you get hired more for what we're defining as content creation, or do you get more film work?
More film work, absolutely.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And what types of projects?
Usually, short films, variety of genres and styles. Very often, I would say it's probably about, if I had to say, it's probably about maybe 30% production sound on set, maybe 40% post audio, fixing stuff in the studio and ADR and stuff, and maybe about 30% music score stuff.
All that stuff is mainly, like a fictional narrative or documentary.
Yeah, fictional narrative. Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly fictional narratives. Not a whole lot of documentaries. A few. But
maybe that's just the music thing, just because that's what they really
the
need that
right.
for.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the opposite. So I want to make movies and I want to make TV, and that's the stuff that I write. But the stuff that I get hired for, I'm creating promotional videos for Instagram.
Right.
I'm doing trailers for things. I'm doing somebody wants videos for their website. And it's, it all goes down to like, you're still using the same skills.
Yeah.
You're still making a documentary.
So
You're still
the same gear.
Yeah. Yeah. You're still using the same gear, all that stuff. But that's the stuff I get hired for. So for me, I feel like it behooves me to have some, and I also do photography.
Right.
So it behooves me to have a healthy Instagram where people go, oh, if I'm a model, I can work with this guy, or if I need shots, I can, I can work with
this guy.
And in addition to the video work, I started doing more photography on Instagram just because it's a more photography friendly format.
Yeah, sure.
But as far as the video stuff, I think it's mainly content creation, and now I've had, because of this show, I've had people asking me to produce podcasts and stuff for them. And that's something that you and I have looked at as well.
Right.
Because if somebody just wants to do audio, they can do it in your studio.
Right.
Which we've done the Indie Film News shows there.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation the other day. Somebody's like, "Oh, I want to start a podcast." And I was like, "Okay, here's my list
Here's what
of
you're getting into.
here's the airing of the grievances. It's right up top.
Yeah.
This, and I always come down to like when people say I want to develop content, it's like, okay, why?
Yeah.
And I talked to a client recently about that. I said, well, why do you want to do this? And they're like, well, because I want to increase my sales. I was like, that's not why. Nobody's going to watch your content because you want to increase
Your
sales.
sales, yeah.
I said,
and you're probably not going to increase sales because people watched your content.
It comes down to who's the market that you're going for, who's the audience, who's the intended audience, and yes, your intended audience should be your customer base. It should be the people that you want to get to work with you.
Right.
Even if you're a filmmaker. So if you're a filmmaker like us, who's this geared towards? This is geared toward other filmmakers that we might want to work with, producers that may want to produce us. It's also geared to say, hey, this is another wrinkle. This is another something that we can do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, what I gave him is I was like, listen, if you want to do this stuff and you want to reach this community, you have to be able to, you want to help somebody. You want to provide a service, you want to provide information, and you're doing this because you want to make your community better, not you want to increase sales, because nobody cares that you want to increase sales.
Right.
And I also feel like if you are a filmmaker and you want to create content, you have to have a purpose for it, and it can't beyond I want to make money.
Right.
It's got to have like a significant why kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what are some of the benefits? Here's a good like sort of analysis of it. So what are some of the benefits of creating your own content as a filmmaker?
If nothing else, keeping your skills sharp and developing new skills.
Absolutely.
Because when you're creating your own stuff, you basically you're not bound by anything.
Right. You make the rules.
You make the rules. You can do anything you can think of.
Right.
If you can figure out a way to make it happen, you can do it. And that's, at least for me, definitely in the music and sound realm. Like, I've learned more from the stuff I've done on my own.
Yeah.
In terms of like
stuff you've created for yourself, by yourself.
Yeah, just because. But in terms of like learning new techniques and new approaches for how to do things, because again, usually if you're working on an actual project with other people, you're sort of adhering to and sort of realizing somebody else's vision, and then you're also on a deadline.
Often that is a big thing where people you're on, and you're also working for somebody else. There's a lot of content that I've made for other people that doesn't go on the reel because I'm limited by their time schedule, their budget, etc.
Yep.
So, but when I make something for myself, and I don't have tons of time, I don't have tons of money, but I know how to use my resources well enough that I can say, all right, this is what I'm going to put into it. It might take 6 months to make this whole thing happen, but it's going to look good, it's going to sound good, and it's going to be what I want. In the case of doing content like this, like making this show, I found a way to make a show that's very economical for me to do, and I could produce, every week. And we did 52 shows last year, so it's a lot. It's a lot of work. But if you work out a way that you can do it where it makes sense,
right?
And I think that's the hardest part. If you want to start like a weekly vlog or something, it's like okay, and do you want to deal with YouTube and algorithms and all that jazz? Because that if you're trying to make it on YouTube, it's really saturated. It's really hard. This show is on YouTube, but I get very few views there.
Right.
I get more views on like Facebook and then, on the website or whatever.
Sure.
It's a great embed for us, but
Right.
Trying to break that algorithm
yeah.
is really hard.
Yeah.
So there are, and it does become its own sort of bear to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
But, some of the other benefits is like, it depends on what you want to do, but so the goal of this show has always been the sort of super goal has been to inform, to inspire content creators and filmmakers, to help people advance in their careers, and to help people maybe get to the next step or break in or whatever,
Right.
be they an actor or a cinematographer or whatever. But the benefit that I've reaped from doing that is the amazing people that I met, the connections that I met, the access that I have now to these different events that I normally wouldn't go to. Also, this motivates me to do that stuff. Like
Right.
now
You have a reason to go to the festival.
yeah, and it's like exactly. It gets you out of the house,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even when you don't want
Wanna
to
be
go.
out of the house, yeah.
So in that way, it's got a lot of benefit. But again, getting back to your point, it's all about what are your resources. Do you have the time? Do you have whatever money you're going to need?
Right.
Because you will need all those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether you're making a movie or a vlog or a podcast or
Yeah.
whatever, there are always a certain amount of time, effort, and money that you're going to have to put in.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. And even if if that's one of the I guess benefits that I have in terms of, as a sound person with my own gear and studio, like the stuff that I want to do, like if I have an idea for something, it usually doesn't cost me a lot of money. It just costs me time and effort.
Well, you can say that, but what about all the money you spent on the recording equipment
Well,
and
yes,
all that
of
stuff?
course, yes. It's like
So the initial investment
is
and I'm the same way. It's like I got cameras, I got editing equipment, I've got all this stuff, and I'm thinking like, well, I don't want to sit here and let it collect dust.
Yeah.
So, and you're right, it does help sharpen the skills.
Mm-hmm.
Even this show, I've learned a lot about editing. Before I did this show, normally we shoot on green screen. I didn't do a lot of green screen compositing.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the show has taught me so much about green screen compositing and try to get it to look good. It's the bane of my existence, but
right.
now
You know it better than you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It also, sharpens your skills. If you like for doing a podcast, for instance, and interviewing people, it's sharpened my skills as an interviewer.
Sure.
Because it's one thing to sit behind a camera and have somebody out front and interview them
Asking
from
the questions.
But now I'm here right there with them, and I have to keep this conversation going.
Yeah.
And it really does kind of it's like, all right, dude, pay attention.
Then
You better be there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then some of the other parts of it is if you do it right, maybe it will create other opportunities for you.
Yeah.
And you have to create something.
Yeah.
I think especially if you're starting out and we talked about it for sound people, we've talked about it for camera people, whatever. If you're some kind of filmmaker creator, you have to create something to show you can create something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And
You're just telling people I do this, but not actually doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're going to build a reel, obviously you need to do that. It's very hard to build a good reel. It's very hard to get something that looks really good, but like if you can take the time and make something, great. Find some people you want to work with, or just go out by yourself. Like for me, it's like if I don't have anything to take pictures of, I grab my camera, I go out in the street, and I shoot New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not have New York City, maybe you have Nebraska or Montana, but there's landscapes.
There's pretty stuff in Montana.
Shoot the cows or whatever's out there.
The bison wandering by.
But it's the type of thing where you say, okay, and it helps not only sharpen your skills, but it helps you find out who you are as a creator and what type of stuff. And not everybody, like when I first started this, this got me out of my comfort zone big time.
Yeah,
because I never liked talking to cameras, and now I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And at first it was frightening. That's why if you watch the first season of the show, we had Victoria Oliver doing the intros and outros, because I was like, I hate that stuff. I'll just do the interview.
Right.
And then it's just like, well, that became way too much trouble to get a third person. So then I started doing everything myself, and it's like, all right, schmuck, just learn how to talk to a camera.
Yeah.
That's
all you can do.
And, hopefully it does stretch you there too. So, we're not going to answer any of these questions for you. Everything here that we're talking about, you're going to have to answer on your own. And it's about your resources, your time, and how you want to spend it. And, also, it's also, you got to experiment a little bit, I think, too. Like there's a certain amount of experimentation that goes along with it where you try stuff out, it doesn't work. I tried other podcast stuff before this, and I tried another type of show that this was going to be before this happened, and it took, growing pains and effort and all that stuff.
And there will be iterations, and there will be, but you'll learn from all of that.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's what we're here to do as well. So, it's about time to wrap up. So I'll say, for all you out there, if you have, what kind of content creator are you? That's a great question to ask. So, what kind of content creator are you? Is this helping? What kind of what kind of stuff do you want to hear about in the future? And for those who might be wondering if they want to work with you or hire you, where can they find you on the web?
They can find me at www.sound-house, that's house, HAUS.com, www.sound-house.com.
Excellent. And this is great, man. So great to have you here for 100 episodes.
Yeah, man.
I feel like we've reached a real plateau, and we're going to we have some great shows coming up for you. And once again, thank you all out there for taking this trip once again down the rabbit hole. Couldn't do it without you. For more of our content, including our movie reviews, you can find that on our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. You can also subscribe on all your favorite podcast apps. And now we're also on Patreon. So if you want, you can follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/norestfortheweekend. Once again, big thank you to Chris Gillard.
Thank you,
Thanks so much, man, for all the work that you've done on the show.
Hey, man, always my pleasure.
And for Behind the Railroad Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.